It's time for Paul Catalina's Top 5. Brought to you by Texas Beef House. Where's the best beef in Texas? Your house when you order from Texas Beef House. Unleash the flavor of Texas raised Wagyu. From our pasture to your plate, TexasBeefHouse.com.
My mock draft. Now, look, I'm going to tell you, I fully hope that the comments here are, God, you were so far off on this. Or, man, Paul's really smart, and nothing in between. I want people to either think that I am some sort of guru or Garrett, like I got hit in the head with a brick right before I did this.
There's no in between, Paul.
That's all I want. Like, I just want, like, oh, man, did Paul, like, just get totally Home Alone 2'd right before this. So let's get through it because this is not necessarily a top 5. This is a top 35, and it's a 35 because 3 teams, the Panthers, the Texans, and the Browns, currently, as it stands right here, and I'll just tell it like, we'll just let it out there. This is 2 o'clock on Thursday of the draft. So 3 teams don't. And look, by the time that this airs, those 3 picks may not matter, but I just wanted to say who I think they will pick because it'll air on Thursday. I just want to be completely transparent with our audience, and we're doing this beforehand because it's going to take a little bit longer than a normal top 5 because you see the list right there. There's the draft. Let's rock and roll through this. Garrett, hop in whenever you feel it important to tell me I'm right or I'm wrong.
All right.
I'll just rock out the first 3 picks for you right here. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. I think that's how it goes. I don't think the Patriots are particularly in a position where even if they're like lukewarm on – if they're lukewarm, they need to not do it. But I don't think they're going to be lukewarm on Drake May or J.J. McCarthy. They're going to want to try to build around a young guy going forward. Although I would not be surprised to see them pass on that and then maybe take a quarterback in the second round if one is there at 34 and let him sit behind Jacoby Brissett that this player might do anyway. But I think there's your top 3. I can almost feel good about chiseling that in stone.
No, I think that I would agree with that. My only thing with the Patriots and Drake May is how much better or how much different is Drake May than what you had with Mac Jones? I don't know that it's that big of a difference.
Yeah, Mac Jones, I think, kind of lost it between the ears.
He did.
So,
but that's kind of where I'm at with that one.
Yeah. All right, next 3 picks. I think the Cardinals can't pass it up. They'll get a ton of trade offers for this pick, but I don't think they can pass up Marvin Harrison Jr., and they'll focus on using their second-round picks and that 27th pick on maybe moving up later. But picking up the later moves up is a really hard thing because there's just a lot that's happened before then. With the 5th pick, the Vikings trade 11 and 23 to the Chargers and ironically take Jim Harbaugh's quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. He's the future in Minnesota right now. They've got to get in front of the Giants, who appear to really like J.J. McCarthy. That'll be an interesting jockey for who gets him. But I think J.J. McCarthy steps into a situation, too, where he's already got Jordan Jefferson and Jordan Addison and some other, T.J. Hawkinson, who's not going to be back right away, but will be back in the season. And they've set him up with weapons already and a good offensive coach in Kevin O'Connell. I like that pick. If anybody's going to work out for J.J. McCarthy, it has to be somewhere where he can kind of hit the ground running a little bit, and Minnesota, to me, is that place. At 6, Malik Neighbors. The Giants, completely devoid of playmakers right now. They don't have, look, they need a new, Darren Waller retired, so they need a new tight end. Wide receiver-wise, they don't really, and I know that they did draft one last year, but they need more playmakers for Daniel Jones. They need a running back now. There's a lot that the Giants need going forward. That Saquon Barkley's in Philadelphia. There's a lot going on. So they have got to get playmakers there.
Yeah, I like that move for the Giants. I don't like the idea of New York taking a quarterback in the first round. I think if you stock up and you get this pick right here, if you can get Neighbors and then in the second round you can go off and grab Bo Nix, that gives you more to work with, in my opinion, than taking a flyer on a first-round quarterback or moving up to get one.
Yeah, next, we'll just do the next 4 picks right here. I do see the Jets trying to get aggressive, but Joe Alt makes perfect sense for the Titans. I mentioned him in my Knuckle Breakers the other day. They need a tackle. It just makes too much sense. Would not be surprised to see them maybe go wide receiver here because Rome Odunze is still on the board. The Falcons desperately need cornerback help. Kenyon Mitchell, although, again, as long as Rome Odunze is on the board here, this could kind of get dicey to me for these teams. Then the Bears go get his partner for the future, Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, riding off together into Chicago like Cameron and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, like the Blues Brothers. That to me is an excellent pairing. And if you're the Bears and Rome Odunze is there, it's just too good to pass up when you've drafted Caleb Williams.
I mean, especially at that point, you're probably looking at arguably best available.
Okay.
Yeah.
And think about this is who the wide receivers will be for Caleb Williams in his first year. Will be Keenan Allen, Dante Moore, and Rome Odunze.
If you can't make that work, you're not going to be able to make anything work. I'm sorry.
So I think you give a guy an embarrassment of riches right off the bat and see how he can handle it. At 10, the Jets go Brock Bowers, the most unique playmaker in the first round, in my opinion, because he's a tight end who can do a lot of things. And with Aaron Rodgers, has always been creative with his tight ends. He's never had rotating through like different guys have all had career years with Aaron Rodgers. If he truly is healthy and ready to go, again, Brock Bowers, another weapon for the Jets to maybe get their moribund offense going. So Brock Bowers fits there. Right after that, J.C. Latham, who's the strongest player in this draft based on the combine and everything else. That's the kind of guys that Jim Harbaugh likes. I've gone through and done like a bunch of Chargers mock drafts, and I do think there's going to be some Michigan guys he might pepper in there. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Chargers in the second round take Mike Sainristil, the defensive back, because he's got that Harbaugh edge to him. But J.C. Latham, tackle from Alabama, allows them to start protecting Justin Herbert better. And they still have another first-round pick coming around in 12 picks after this. At 12, the second Tyga off the board, Brian Thomas Jr. There are talks around Cortland Sutton right now in the Broncos, which I think maybe centered around like, look, they've got to get more picks. The Steelers are mentioned around Cortland Sutton, which that would be a great thing for Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I really like Cortland Sutton. I think he's been lost in the desert there quarterback-wise, but that means they've got to replace him, and that would mean they also they traded Jerry Jeudy too, right?
I believe they did.
Yeah, they
traded.
No,
they did. Yeah, they traded Jerry. I would hate that for Brian Thomas because you're walking into a situation where I don't know how long Sean Payton's going to be there. I really feel like that's a short leash that you're going to see. You have no quarterback really to throw. That would just be a situation where I would not like to see my man go there. But, hey, best of luck to you.
Yeah. All right, at 13, here's our 5th quarterback off the board. I think the Raiders can't wait on this. I think they have to do it. I think on tape he's earned this, being a first-round pick. Now, again, there are injury questions. If he had the same health history as Drake May, I would say he'd be the 4th quarterback taken over J.J. McCarthy. I just do. I mean, he showed what he can do with NFL wide receivers because he played with 3 of them. He's very good at avoiding the rush. Again, you're talking about 4 season-ending injuries before he came to Washington, where the last 2 years, he's been pretty much completely healthy. He had 1 bad game his whole last year at Washington against the best defense in the country. You know what? I bought into Coach Prime, what he said yesterday about Michael Penix. Michael Penix deserves to be in the first round. I think the Raiders have to go get him, and because they're not going to be able to go. Jaden Daniels is there they're number 1 because of the Antonio Pierce connection. They're not going to be able to do that.
No.
That's over for them completely. So I think, if your consolation prize is the best passer, in my opinion, in college football last year, then that's a pretty good consolation prize.
I know me personally, looking at Michael Penix compared to what you could possibly get in next year's draft, I like the upside on Penix better than anybody that's going to come out next season. And if you're the Raiders, everything that you see coming out of Las Vegas is they love what they're hearing from Michael Penix. He's been there a few times now. I think that would be an excellent fit for them to build around. Now, the long-term sustainability with his health is in question, but if you could build a line around him, You got Devontae Adams to work with. I think that'd be nice.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll just rock through these next 5 or 6 pretty quickly. Byron Murphy to the Saints, big-time run stuffer, fits really well with what Dennis Allen wants to do there on defense. Cooper DeJean is one of the best athletes in the draft, and the Colts haven't had a dude like this since the last safety they drafted from Iowa, which would be Bob Sanders, and he's a little more, he's coming off an injury too. We know that Cooper DeJean got hurt, but if you watched him play and then you watch his measurables, this is a guy you can do a lot of things with. I think especially new kickoff rules. Cooper DeJean not only is a defensive back, but is a special teams player. Really, really, really is fun here. I know they probably want another wide receiver, but I think they can get one in the second round that'll match up with the guys that they currently have. 16, first Noel off the board. Jared Verse, my opinion, best pass rusher in the draft, which is pretty late for the first pass rusher off the board, but Seattle needs this. I think he'll do well with Mike McDonald, the new head coach there, and absolutely a monster for them. I could also see Latu or Dallas Turner going here, but I'm saying Jared Verse because I think he's the most well-rounded of all the guys. Then next pass rusher off the board, Laichu Latu. From UCLA, going to the Jaguars. There's a lot of positions they could pick outside of quarterback. They need to focus on building up that team around Trevor Lawrence so that they finish the season strong. The Bengals go get a mauler at tackle and Talisi Fuaga from Oregon State.
I love that. If that happens, they've got to protect Joe Burrow.
Yeah, they've got to
protect Joe Burrow. Yeah,
that has got to be, to me, their first-round priority.
Yes.
You draft the best available, but if the best available happens to be him, then there you go. Yeah. And look, there's some other tackles here. Like whoever fits your system out of the good tackles in this draft that's sitting there on the board for you, I think that works there. At number 19, the Rams, maybe a team that drafts Bo Nix right here and develops him to be the quarterback of the future under Matt Stafford. I don't see that happening because of the biggest thing that happened to the Rams in the offseason, that the greatest defensive lineman of his generation retired in Aaron Donald. So I'm taking Johnny Newton, Jerzon Newton from Illinois here to replace Aaron Donald. After that, Steelers, get big up front, protect those new quarterbacks you got, which will be Russell Wilson probably for this year, and then Justin Fields into the future with Troy Fountainu. The Dolphins go defensive back because they don't.
They need some.
They need some there. Terry and Arnold from Alabama. The Eagles. A little depressed that they missed out on Kenyon Mitchell and Terry and Arnold. Not going to be that upset because Nate Wiggins is an absolute nasty boy out there when it comes to covering receivers. He plays physical. He plays tough. He's got good speed. Nate Wiggins at 22. I know he did hurt himself at the combine, but I think he's all right. The Chargers, second first-round pick comes around. Got to get another playmaker to go for Justin Herbert. Adonai Mitchell from Texas, I think, fits in well here. And because of the draft picks they have around him, doesn't necessarily need to be the guy right away. It helps Quentin Johnston. It helps Josh Palmer. It helps the guys that are still in-house because their skill positions are essentially hitting refresh this year. The Cowboys, Pro Football Focus has him listed as a tackle. He can play all three positions. I think this is your starting center for the Cowboys next year. Graham Barton from Duke. If it's not Graham Barton, and it's not like a plus wide receiver that they like, I see them trading down from this pick. Not maybe out of the first round, but I think that's highly likely. The Packers get a tackle. Olu Fashunu from Penn State. Cooper DeJean mocked to them quite a bit, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen either. He kind of fits the Packer mold a little bit there, but I think they go up front, try to protect Jordan Love. The good news for them is they don't have to draft skill players. They can if they want to, and they will if they want to, but they can focus on the nitty-gritty parts of the team, like the offensive line, which obviously got old and some of it's retired now or gone. David Bakhtiari's gone, so they've got to find ways to protect Jordan Love. Then the Bucks go get a pass rusher in Dallas Turner from Alabama. The Cardinals get a Marius Mims, a guy I really like and who could probably go higher. I just had him slotted here. There's a lot of tackles. The Bills go get a wide receiver and a guy who should be in the first round. I know a lot of people will tell you he won't be, but Keon Coleman and Josh Allen Keon Coleman and Josh Allen, I'll just keep saying it, that's a very good match, and the Bills should not pass up on that unless they trade up and go get Roma Dunze or something like that. But Keon Coleman and Josh Allen, think about that.
No, that would be absolutely filthy. And I would be interested to see how that benefits Josh Allen having a big receiver to work with Diggs being the smaller guy that would be very interesting, especially in red zone and third down situations.
Yeah. The Lions need a defensive back. They go Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama. I think he's a guy who they'll really like. I would not be surprised to see them get like a bit of a mauler here, though, too, like because they just
nasty.
that kind of a player. But Kool-Aid McKinstry, they need some help at defensive back, and that's where they go. The Ravens need a tackle. I waffled back and forth between Jordan Morgan and Kingsley Sumatria from BYU. I went Jordan Morgan here. Could be one of those guys, but expect to see the Ravens draft probably 2 or 3 offensive linemen in this draft. That's their biggest position of need. The 49ers go wide receiver and Troy Franklin. A lot of consternation with Brandon Ayuk there. I don't think he's going to get traded, but if he does, they got to have a replacement. And even if they don't trade him and they don't sign him to an extension, they've got to have a ready-made replacement. Troy Franklin, a guy I really like here, who really is kind of in the Brandon Ayuk mode. Very similarly styled. And this one just makes too much sense for me not to do it. Patrick Mahomes gets his first down machine and Ladd McConkey.
Another toy to play with.
Yeah, absolutely. And somebody they can move the ball with. The next 3 picks are the teams outside the first round. I think the Panthers go with Xavier Legette, wide receiver from South Carolina, who probably should be in the first round, but won't get there. The Texans, third Noel off the board, Braden Fisk, defensive tackle, Florida State.
If the Texans got him, are you kidding me?
Okay. Let me tell you about this. Is a D'Amico Ryans player right here.
Yeah.
This is D'Amico Ryans type player. He'll love that. He's even mentioned it, that he really liked it after he visited them. And then at 54, the last team to have their first pick in the draft, the Browns get help pass rushing. Darius Robinson from Mizzou. They've already got Myles Garrett on one side. This allows them to have another pass rush effort there. Grade me. Tell me how I did. Let me know. This has been the Top 5 brought to you by Texas Beef House. And I know it was longer, but I hope you enjoy it.